Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Mr. Violet.
You got it. You got it, man. Good morning, Ken. Whatever will we talk about? There's just
So
nothing.
nothing, what's so interesting is that nothing's happened this summer. It's been a very quiet summer, and we've had to scrape together
Hey,
topics.
hey, remember when the former president of the United States, somebody tried to assassinate him? Remember that?
Well, there's one way to take that off the top.
It's amazing how that's like a nothing burger now.
It's it's extraordinary times. I was hearing what's her name, Doris Kearns,
Good win. Good win.
presidential historian, and and she was being interviewed, I think, by Jon Stewart, but she's saying, these are extraordinary times. This is history in the making. It's unbelievable. And,
Like nothing. You've been around a little bit longer than me, and my 64 years been some crazy shit. But this last couple of weeks,
no, I mean on Saturday morning, Saturday night, we go to bed and Joe Biden's the candidate. He says, "I'm in, I'm not getting out. Leave me alone. Stop it." Sunday,
all right.
I'm out.
How do you feel about the palace coup? I mean, clearly that's what happened.
Yeah, I don't see, and I
10,
know
12 days ago, he was in it to win it, and then suddenly he's withdrawing.
So I understand everybody saying that the powers that be and the Democratic machine ousted him. It was a very visible. This was not. This was very visible. It's not as if everybody was. From Nancy
What
Pelosi
was very visible? What was very visible?
that they wanted him to withdraw from the race. Chuck
Of
Schumer,
course.
Jeffries. So a lot of the criticism I hear is, "Oh, this is behind the scenes." This was not behind the scenes. This was very visible.
All right, point well taken there.
And so yeah, it had to be done. It had to be done. I mean, when you looked at the Stephanopoulos interview, it's like, this is what you thought was going to convince people that you weren't senile.
Oh yeah, no question about it. So there's a couple of things I want to specifically ask you here. Clearly, there has been an attempt, and it was an attempt. It was successful for a while, along with the media going along with it, by the White House staff, by KJP, and everybody involved, to keep it under wraps that Biden was cognitively challenged.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris was involved on the whole thing too. They
Yeah.
lied about Joe's cognitive ability. How does that make Ken feel?
You know, I it reminds me, of the West Wing, the TV show The West Wing. When what's the older guy? Not Charlie Keene. What's his father's name?
Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen. Where he had MS, and they keep it hidden because he's going to get reelected.
Right.
It's wrong, but and I know there's arguments that no, Ronald Reagan wasn't senile in the last 2 years, and I understand that, but they tend to protect. You're not going to come out and say, by the way, even though Joe Biden is going senile, he's going to run for president again. Well, you got to make a decision here, and the problem is that his insiders want to stay in power. They want to run for president. They're going to hide his infirmaries. Now, the question becomes people like Chuck Schumer, like Nancy Pelosi, like Kamala Harris. Do they, and by the way, I'm going to instead of calling him Donald Trump, I'm going to call him Donald Trump because he keeps calling her Kamala. So Donald and Kamala.
And it's Kamala, I guess.
Kamala,
I don't have any problem calling her Kamala.
It's Kamala. It's Kama.
Like a comma.
Am I surprised that they would cover this up? Look, I will say this. I don't think that Joe Biden is incapable of being president. We've had presidents throughout our history.
For fuck's sake, Ken, come on.
No.
Have you been hitting the bottle already this morning?
So look, what do you have to be president? What do you have to do to be president? We've had presidents in our history who had the IQ of doorknobs. Ulysses S. Grant was a functioning alcoholic the entire time he was in the White House. So the president doesn't run the country. His staff runs the country. It's
Well,
always
it
been
depends
that
on who
way.
the president is. But to be perfectly honest with you, it depends on who the
Hey,
president
I
is.
heard
But
another story about FDR when one time he was giving a speech and his braces broke and he fell on the ground. And then
right.
they get him to the podium. He gives a speech, and they never mentioned
No,
him.
no, no, and look, look, media's covered up John F. Kennedy banging everything that walked back in the day, and most of them were walking into the White House. Believe me, because he was nailing every chick in Washington. They covered that up. The media went along for the ride. The media, a few weeks ago, Joe Scarborough was on Morning Joe. This is the best intellectual, most curious president ever. He's totally, and now, oh, he's got to withdraw from the race because he can't get it done. The media, the New York Times was saying fake videos of Biden and this and that. None of it was fake. It was all real. The guy his brain is mush, and that is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it happened, but it's unfortunate that the media was unwilling, sitting right there watching the whole thing. They went along for the ride rather than do
Wait a minute.
what they do, which is to criticize and ask questions and be forceful in their questions.
But Mike, he never did press conferences. I don't look the
No, I
innocent.
know that, but nail down KJP and nail down the members of the administration.
That's but what do you expect them to do? Say, listen, we can't work for you anymore because you are losing your cognitive abilities. We're going to go public on this. That's not going to happen.
Well,
I
the
mean,
presidency is supposed to be our office, and
oh,
it is.
but tell Donald Trump that, Mister Dick.
Well,
Come on. So
it's
look,
the same thing.
that doesn't. So to answer your question, no, I don't care. It doesn't surprise me. I really thought that Joe Biden was cognitively okay until the debate.
I
Frankly,
know you denied it. I totally disagree with you and can't believe that you felt that way, but we
the
all have our
debate,
thoughts
the
about it.
debate showed his flaws, and as you know, the next morning I wrote an op-ed piece saying he's got to go.
You
When
did.
he walked on the stage, I called my daughter and said, "We just lost the election."
He waved to an audience that wasn't there.
Well, at least he beat back Medicare.
He waved to Jake Tapper and Dana
So
Bash.
so so
All right, go ahead.
I am. What it surprises me is that, I mean, you asked me, will by next Wednesday will we be out? And I said yes, although I
Yeah,
wasn't
you
confident.
did.
And it was Sunday. So that I'm still shocked at the surprise. I am totally shocked at the speed at which Kamala Harris claimed the ring and got the ring. I mean, it's like, yeah, how did that happen? You
And
know,
yesterday, after a New York Post report came out that said Obama was going to withhold his support for Kamala, he and Michelle, and I sent you the obviously
I
rigged
like
phone
that.
call.
I like that. I like that.
So they've endorsed her. So let me ask you, sir, how do you feel about apparently having a Democratic presidential nominee who was not duly voted for by one person? When she ran for president in 2019, she was roundly rejected by Democratic voters. They hated her.
You
And
do understand.
now here she is. She's going to be the Democratic nominee for president without getting a vote.
You do understand that the present day primary system started after the 1968 Chicago Convention. That's
Yes, I
not
do.
how we used to select our candidates. The leaders of the party would get together and decide who's the best candidate. We didn't have primaries. We never had primaries. Yeah, frankly, as you know, I don't think people should vote for the president. I think I should choose the president every year. I'm every 4 years. I don't trust the
God
vote.
help us all.
And caucuses, this is how we nominate people. We get together in a room. All right, all in favor of Hillary Clinton, raise your hand. All in
No,
favor of Obama, raise your hand.
caucuses are dumb.
It's stupid. So no, I don't. I couldn't care less about how
But
Kamala
all right.
Harris gives a nominee.
But let's go back to 1968. You were a teenager back then, about ready to graduate from high school.
Huh?
Lyndon Baines Johnson famously did not run for re-election in
Do not
60.
seek nor accept the nomination of my party.
Right. If nominated, I will not accept. If elected, I will not serve. I use that all the time when people talk about me running for president. So everything was wide open. We got Bobby Kennedy, we got Eugene McCarthy, we got Hubert Humphrey, we got a
It was
great,
horrible. And by the way,
huh?
Humphrey was selected by the powers, not by the electorate,
Well,
right?
but he won the votes in the primaries.
Not enough. And Eugene McCarthy did pretty well.
Right. Yeah,
Kennedy,
it was if Bobby Kennedy doesn't get shot, Bobby Kennedy is going to be the presidential nominee in 68 for sure. But are we getting the best of the Democratic Party? I don't think we are. Kamala Harris, I'm sorry, is not very capable. And
I can see. Remember. I wanted
and I
Kamala.
can't understand, Ken, because you
She's,
usually latch. Hillary Clinton, for all of the warts, she did have some chops.
but wait a minute, she's been a judge. She's been an attorney general. She's been a district attorney. What do you? She's a look. There are lots of candidates that come out that I don't think Joe Biden was not. Joe Biden was in the Senate for decades.
I agree. Joe Biden was a horribly
but he had foreign policy abilities.
All right, so
and by the way,
Kamala
let me just say,
Kamala Harris wants to defund the police. You in favor of defunding the police?
Let me just say this: if it wasn't for the George Floyd murder, Gretchen Whitmer would be the vice president of the United States with Joe Biden. He picked Kamala Harris because she was black. Because of George Floyd.
She's not black, by the way.
She's Asian and Jamaican.
She's Indian and Jamaican. All
Indian.
right.
Look,
all right.
the bottom line is we pick people. Why did George Bush get picked by Ronald Reagan? Why did Dan Quayle get picked by George Bush?
All right, Dan Quayle, you could have an argument. George Bush to Ronald Reagan gave him the moderate wing of the party, came with a tremendous amount of experience. He was a fighter pilot in World War II. He was a congressman. He was an ambassador.
You don't pick a vice presidential candidate based upon if I die, who is the best person in this country to be president. That's not how we pick vice presidents.
That's how we should pick vice presidents.
Mike Pence, I like Mike Pence. I like him better than Donald Trump. But do I think he was the best person in the Republican Party to be president? Absolutely not. That's what a vice president does.
From a policy standpoint, what is it about Kamala Harris that you like?
She's a woman.
Who gives a fuck about that?
I do. I think it's time that we get a woman in the presidency.
How about we have the most capable people?
Is Donald Trump the most capable person to be president?
No, Ron DeSantis is.
Well, I disagree with you. But
I freely admit that. You won't freely admit that
I don't think
there are a lot of men more qualified than Kamala Harris.
There's a lot of. I think Gretchen Whitmer is more qualified than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, of all the people who ran when we're against Joe Biden in the primaries, I wanted Kamala Harris. Okay,
she is a Nimrod. She's a Nimrod. She can't go 30 seconds without laughing like the Joker at something bizarre.
If she was Republican, you would like her as much as you like.
She's a fucking weirdo, Ken, and you know it.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I'm telling you, if she was a Republican, you would like her. I like Nikki Haley. She's a Republican. I
don't like Nikki Haley, and she's a Republican. So there.
So the question is not who's the best. The question is who seemed to be able to galvanize the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is the party of inside bickering. It's an Italian family at Thanksgiving. An open convention, which is what the Republicans should have prayed for the Democrats to have, would have been like 1968, classic example. And Kamala Harris somehow was able to quickly galvanize everybody around her. And get
why?
Well, I don't think it's why. I think it's how. Okay.
How?
Because I think the powers that be recognized that at this late date, with a little over 100 days to go, you got to settle on somebody quickly, or you have an open convention and it's going to be a shit show. Okay, you're going to have Manchin. You're going to have I don't know who else would have run against Kamala. I mean, you'd have Robert Kennedy. I mean, you would have had people fighting on the convention floor. She managed to raise millions of dollars overnight. She managed to present herself as a reborn Kamala Harris. And by the way, and by the way, let me say this too. I am not going to say Kamala Harris is going to win this election. I still think it's Donald Trump's to lose. I do not think by any stretch of the imagination
it is.
What I say is that we have a chance of winning now that Joe Biden is out of the race. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
his, it's his to lose. And
And
he's got
I
to be
think the board,
careful.
if you look at the toss-up states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, I don't see Kamala Harris's numbers so pronounced, but she's doing better than Joe Biden did. I would have liked my choice would have been Mark Kelly. I think Mark Kelly would have been a great choice for president. I think Josh Shapiro would have been a great choice for a candidacy. I think both of them, I think Michelle Whitman would have been a great choice. Those would have
How
been my
about
choices.
how about all of this discussion when Shapiro's name comes up? Who I even have I have a Republican friend in Pennsylvania who actually likes Josh Shapiro, but
Uh,
his name comes up and there's, oh well, he's Jewish. I mean, we can't do that. I
how
mean,
about
is this?
everybody? How about how about arch conservatives criticizing J.D. Vance for being married to an Indian woman? How do you
I
like that?
know that should be celebrated.
So let's talk
That
about vice presidential choices. There's only two: Mark Kelly or Josh Shapiro. Here's why I like Mark Kelly. First of
can't
all,
be two skirt. It can't be two skirts, can it?
absolutely not. Um, so first of all, I know that people say that you've got to have a chemistry with your vice presidential candidate. I think that's true. I think Donald Trump and Mike Pence had chemistry at the beginning. I think they actually got along pretty well, and I saw some chemistry there. She's very close to Mark Kelly, and I think that they would work well together. Border state, astronaut, so American
Oh
hero.
yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Donald
No
Trump
doubt.
is an American hero because he dodged a bullet, and his wife got shot by
Right. Wife
a
got
bullet.
shot.
So I like
Can he
those.
help? Can he help her with a big issue that's a problem for her? You said border state. She is the border czar, and she has absolutely famously failed at it.
And he's been critical of her and Joe Biden. I think that helps the ticket. Okay. Josh Shapiro, though, I think, can sway Pennsylvania. The likelihood of her carrying
State,
Arizona is
big state.
Pennsylvania is a huge state.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Mark Kelly. I think it should be Josh Shapiro. That's kind of my opinion.
Yeah, frankly, I think both of them in their own way can help her. I think Shapiro probably more when it comes to electoral votes, and let's face it, that's the name of the game is getting electoral votes. So I think that's a huge, significant factor. Let's jump back to um, old Grandpa Joe's farewell address the other night, where Jesus Christ, when I listened to that, I thought he was George Washington by the time it was over with. Unbelievable how great he is.
But let me just put a word in here for the media that is everything is on the extreme, urgent. They sound like Donald Trump. Greatest, worst, best. Never has happened before. It's like,
Huge.
and I love, Joe Biden is not going anywhere. The next day, Joe
Yep.
Biden has got to go. The next day, Kamala Harris is facing a insider fight. The next day, Kamala Harris has been annoyed. It's like, stop it. The news media is simply, I really don't listen to it anymore.
Ken, they all suffer from premature ejaculation. I
Well,
swear to God.
because of
Everything.
ratings. Because what gets people going? I mean, breaking news. Everything's breaking news. They just
Gotta be
they
heard.
just rescue a cat from a well. Breaking news. It's like so the way they portrayed the speech. Look, it was fine. It was nice. It was touching. Nothing spectacular. It was his farewell speech. And by the way, I will say that I do believe Obama waited because remember, he's had some tension with Biden because he talked Biden out of running in 2016. He
Yeah,
tried
and he also famously said, never underestimate Joe's ability to fuck things up. And that's a quote.
right. So I think he wanted to give Joe his time in the sun before he came out for comment. I really think that's the reason. Okay, and also he wanted to be the last and most important endorsement. That's. I mean, let's not ever underestimate the ego of a politician.
Oh, especially not him.
But I thought just Biden's speech was a C.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was no more than that. You know what? I approached it with, God, I want him for me to feel even a smidge of compassion for Joe Biden is an upset because I hate Joe Biden, think he's a complete phony and a fraud. And I actually approached this speech with, I hope he actually and it was a C, like you said, it was a C.
Yeah, look, he has lost his ability to articulate if he's thinking something. The debate shows he can't put a sentence together, and that's why he can't run for president. And how he got there, I don't care. He came to the right decision. I don't think
Yeah,
he's a good American patriot because he got out of the race. I think he's a good Democrat because he got out of the race.
thank you.
Not
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
American hero.
He saved democracy. He put himself ahead of democracy. Blah 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 blah. So,
And if he had not faced insurmountable barriers, he would have stayed in
yes,
the race. There's no doubt.
right.
You know.
Yeah.
And
So,
by the way, one other thing before I forget, how his staff handled the week after the debate led to his downfall.
yeah.
Because you can't stay silent on that. You come out the next day and you say, you know what? We never realized that maybe he's having some cognitive problems. We're going to get doctors in here to evaluate him. We're going to be transparent on this, even though they wouldn't be. They handled it so poorly that
Yeah.
there was no alternative but to steamroll him out of the presidency. You know.
Well, and again, that's probably better for your side of things,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happened. So, all right. So I do want to rewind to Trump and the assassination attempt. The FBI, excuse me, the Secret Service director finally stepped down after a
The
disastrous.
day after, I am not stepping down. This organization needs me. I'm the best one to find out what. And I said,
Right?
I took the limit and said 24 hours.
Yeah, until tomorrow.
Just
So
crazy, just crazy.
it's just, it's still astonishing to me that this was when did this happen? July 13th. So we're 13 days. Yeah, it's 2 weeks tomorrow. We're 2 weeks removed from a former president, the Republican Party's standard bearer this year, from being, shot in the ear by an assassin's bullet. To me, this is an inside job. This is deep state. This 20-year-old kid did not do this on his own. We got a Lee Harvey Oswald thing going on here where he's the patsy for it all. I don't know who's playing the role of Jack Ruby in all of this, but this thing stinks to the high heavens. And I think, like I still think that the CIA or the government was in on Kennedy's assassination, JFK, I think something's up here. What do you think?
If that was true, Donald Trump would be dead. That's what the only flaw in
And he's a head turn away from being dead.
I understand. Well, he was standing like this when he got shot. He was not moving.
No, he turned his head right as the bullet came, and that saved him. He
I'm
turned
not
his head this way.
I think he maybe turned that way because he heard the crack.
Whatever.
I think it's. I believe that the CIA was behind Kennedy's assassination. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I think if that was true, they would have had some people on the grassy knoll. I don't think you send up a 20-year kid who, to kill him if you want to kill him. I think it's gonna. I don't know what the motive. They haven't found a motive yet from this kid.
No.
Well,
and how do you allow the?
I think the Secret Service is incompetent. By the way, I think they were absolutely incompetent. I think everybody in the top echelon should be fired summarily. No doubt about it.
I mean, the mistakes or on purpose were just egregious. They knew this guy was there. Everybody, could smell him, but they didn't go up and talk to him, and they didn't go up. It's just unbelievable.
It's a miracle that Donald Trump is alive.
Yeah, it truly is. So we've got governmental agencies investigating governmental agencies, and I guess
I know.
there's nobody else to investigate them.
There
But
should be an independent. There should be an independent.
they always come back as a good shoot. When the Attorney General's office investigates a shooting, it's always a good shoot. I don't know what to say here, but I still, it's 2 weeks ago, and I saw a meme this morning. Remember that famous moment back on Saturday Night Live back in the day when Chris Farley did that skit with Paul McCartney, and he said to him, "Remember when you and were in the Beatles? That was cool." Well, it's like, remember when Donald Trump got, somebody took a shot at him 2 weeks. It's just it's just incredible. This news cycle has been unlike anything we've ever seen before.
And it's
I
going to
mean,
be interesting. And I can't predict. I think the Democrats can win. I'm not prepared to say they're going to because it's 100 days. A lot can happen. Remember James Comey in October of 2015,
yeah,
I mean, 2006, I mean,
15.
that October surprise, anything can happen. All of a sudden you find out that, Kamala Harris had a baby born out of wedlock and there goes the election.
Well, that would take her out of the crazy single cat lady category. How do you think Hillary feels about Kamala not getting a vote? Hillary got millions. Kamala not getting a vote and being the top,
I think
on
Hillary should be
top
the
of the ticket.
candidate. I think Hillary should be the candidate, but she's got an age issue too.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I think
So does Trump.
we got to stop nominating old men and
Yeah,
frankly, unfortunately, white old women. Michelle Whitman
yeah,
would have been my choice. I'm glad JD Vance is 37 or 39.
yeah.
However,
39, yeah.
I think that's good. I don't like JD Vance. I think he's a clone of Donald Trump, but he's young. I like young. It's time to get
Mhm.
young people in there. Get rid of these
Yeah,
old timers.
yeah, and we say that as two old timers.
We're not running for president, and that's
You and I are both younger, much younger than Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton.
so who knows? And by the way, so my advice to Kamala Harris, we got the Olympics starting today.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to care about politics for the next 2 weeks. What I would do is I would be seen talking to Liz Cheney, talking to Republicans and Democrats everywhere, as if you're going to think about them being vice president. Just have some photo ops. Don't rush into making a decision. I don't think you need to do it.
When's
Uh,
the convention?
I think they're going to do it virtually August 7th now,
Virtually?
because of the Ohio rule. Remember, Ohio has basically said they have qualified it, but they initially said if you're not the candidate by August 7th, you're not on the ballot.
Oh
Well,
yeah. Okay.
I mean, so they're not going to take any chances, right? Not that they're going to win Ohio, but you get the point.
Do,
So I think they're going to do a virtual convention and nominate Kamala. She'll have the VP candidate before then, and then it's off and running. Remember, there was a time that the campaign did not start till Labor Day, ever, ever.
I'd like to go back to that.
These 4-year elections are wear and tear on our
It's
system.
never ending. It's never ending.
But
So
will,
do you
yeah,
you actually give a how many fucks don't you give about the Olympics? Because I'm a huge sports fan. It's my life now. It's what I work in now. I have absolutely no interest in watching anything, not even the men's Olympic basketball team in the Olympic. None.
So NBC is nauseating me. I mean, it's like this is the greatest sporting event in the history of humankind. I mean, there's 2 weeks of this. The only event that I think is worth looking at.
Equestrian, dressage, right?
No, women's beach volleyball. This is
I saw some this morning on ESPN.
just to see if their bathing suits stay on. I mean, there's
Right.
no other reason
Those
to
are the
watch it.
skimpiest bathing suits known to man.
They got to be glued on. I'm telling you, they got to be glued on. I don't know how they do it. I applaud it.
All right, so I'll watch women's
every
beach
teenage
volleyball.
girl should have that adhesive. In my opinion.
Is it actually on a beach or is it fake? Is it a fake beach?
Not me. I don't care.
Okay.
But no, I don't care.
Relevant point.
I mean, rock climbing, break dancing.
Is break dance? Oh my God! See,
Yeah,
this
break dancing's in there. And by the way,
is
how thrilling is it to watch, a 400-meter swim event? I mean, it's
for
like,
me not a big deal. You know what is funny though? Yeah, I did see a tweet this morning about something political from the artist formerly known as Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner. And all I could think of was we're nearly 50
yeah,
years removed from Jenner winning the decathlon
yeah.
at the 76 games in Montreal. Remember that?
I do remember that.
Remember?
And he was
Box
on
of
there, box of
Wheaties.
Wheaties, for God's sake.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now he's a chick.
I do think that there is some interest in seeing gymnasts to see if they're going to fall off the balance.
Biles?
Yeah, well, she's great, but I want to see them fall off the. I want to see one of them bang their head on the balance
So
bar.
it's like a car crash. You can't take your
Yeah,
eyes off.
yeah. I mean, it's like but yeah, she's
Oh,
incredible. You know,
she's
um,
awesome. She
I
really
don't know
is.
what the big thing is about Celine Dion being there. It's like Celine Dion. I
Well,
mean,
she's French. It's in Paris.
isn't she Canadian French?
Muji doggy anyway.
Does
Again,
that pass for being
she's
French?
the same kind of French that I am. Actually, at least she was from Montreal. She was born and raised in Montreal.
She's
Can
not
speak.
French.
She can speak fluent French. Her name is Celine Dion. It doesn't get much more French than that.
And
Celine?
so no. The answer to your question is no.
No,
I only watch it if I happen to turn on the TV and there's just there's no reruns of The Big Bang Theory.
right.
I may see 5 minutes of it, but I'm not
Or
going.
Law and Order, which I have on the TV right over there right now.
Uh,
Yeah,
I love Law and Order. They Special Victims unit. They're doing far more than the original, which is a shame.
yes, yeah.
I like the
Well,
original a little better, but you know,
all right, it's Law and Order SVU, but I choose
yeah.
to call it what Chrissy and the Sopranos called it, Law and Order SUV. That's what I call it.
All right, and with that, I want you to have a great weekend, and we'll talk next week when who knows maybe the
What
Kennedy.
the hell's gonna happen? See you,
No,
Ken.
we don't know. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend.